I'm Jim Collison and live from the Gallup studios here in Omaha, Nebraska, as well as being in the new Gallup Studio B. This is Gallup's Theme Thursday, Season 4, recorded on October 25th, 2018. Theme Thursday is a Gallup webcast series that dives deep into the Clifton Strengths themes, one at a time. Today's theme is restorative. If you have questions, comments, or contributions during this webcast, we do have a live chat room available for you right below the main video window. Just peek down there. Bottom left-hand corner, it says log in. Choose the guest account. Take guest and the number out. Put your name in. Hit submit. Super easy. Or you can log in with any of the social media accounts it supports. It does all of them. So log in with whatever you want. The more important thing is that you're in the chat room so you can ask us questions live and stay around for the post show. And don't forget that chat room does, you can hit those little red boxes, upper right-hand corner. It pops it out. So if you need to put it somewhere else on your screen, you can do that, and it works independent.
You're multitasking.
That's right. That's right. When you're pretending like you're working. If you're listening to the recorded version or have questions about anything related to strengths, you can send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. Don't forget to visit the Gallup Strengths Center, just gallupstrengthscenter.com, for all your Clifton Strengths resources and training needs. You can also catch the video in both downloadable and streaming audio, getting super popular, by the way. Maika, we put some stats out. The whole Webcast network did 500,000 downloads in the last 365 days. Pretty great. We call that podcasting. You could be doing it too, saving time when you're on the road, in a train, on a plane, those kinds of things available for you. Both Android and iPhone both have dedicated podcast listening apps now. If you haven't caught on, I'm just telling you, all the cool kids are doing it. All the links to get it done is over at coaching.gallup.com. And if you're on those platforms and you want to rate and subscribe and review and all those great things, we always appreciate that as well. Maika Leibbrandt is our host today. She's a workplace consultant here at Gallup. Maika, always great. Favorite time of the week is Thursdays. Welcome to Theme Thursday.
It's a pretty great day. Thanks, Jim. Great to be here.
We are working on restorative. We're at 30 of 34. The last 10 always seem to go so fast. It seems like we're in A and C and I forever. And then all of a sudden, boom, we're at the end. 30 of 34.
Yeah, we are. I typed that and I sent it to you in our show notes, but hearing it back, I'm just like, really? We hit the 30s already? Yeah. Restorative, self-assurance, significant, strategic. Woo. Then it's over.
I know.
There are no more strengths.
going super fast. And it's been a great series. And let's dig in a little bit. Give us the brief on restorative.
Restorative is all about having a knack for restoring what is broken. So calmly, effectively bringing what is off track back to what can keep going on the tracks. I think for folks with high restorative, brokenness isn't a permanent state. It's just something that you pass through on the way to improvement. It is an executing theme. And it's about really, I think, restorative at its core. Now, of course, this is going to change based on what theme dynamics are at play around it. But at its core, restorative is pretty practical. It's about interacting with what's here on the ground rather than maybe anticipating or imagining what could be.
Maika, can restorative be in other domains? Could it? I know it's not on the script, but let's go off for it. We've had a lot of these questions lately. Can it show itself in another domain as well?
Of course. So, those domains need to be more like guidelines instead of something that you get stuck on. And in our new Clifton Strengths 34 report, those domains of leadership really are highlighted pretty prominently, which I think is fantastic for people to understand, but can also be limiting if that's where you stop. You think, oh, this means I'm an executor. That's it. I should just do all day long and do nothing else. You can think about the dividers between those domains as being less like walls and more like curtains. They're a framework to give you a place to start, to give you really some core ground understanding of where that theme lives in relationship to leadership. But I think about restorative, that knack for being able to calmly and effectively move forward. That sounds like something that I want in my relationships, right? So of course you could serve people through it and build that one-on-one relationship that way. I think you could feel a little bit like you're thinking a lot. I think a lot of times I imagine restorative to be able to jive very nicely with people who are a little bit stronger in the strategic thinking domain. Now, it's important to realize that when I'm having this conversation with you, what I'm not telling you is that those domains don't matter, right? It's not the same as saying it's an executing theme, but it could also do all the others. So who cares about it? I think it really is understanding that the heart of restorative is in moving forward, right? It's in being able to address the roadblocks that are in your way instead of go around them so that you can get something done. Now, that can also mean that you can have influence and that you can build relationships and that you can think really hard. But the essence of restorative is about how do we do more and do more effectively.
You mentioned the new 34 report. This podcast is time shifted, which means that you could be listening this 2 or 3 or 4 years from now. But as of October 25th, that's today, first very full day of the new CS34 report being out and available to you. If you have purchased all 34 or done the upgrade to all 34 in the past, it's available to you right now. You can log into the Gallup Strength Center, Gallup Access, Gallup Online. All those are available, and actually Gallup Online got a little bit of an upgrade in the process, which is pretty cool. Available to you now, some new insights, which we'll be unpacking. There's a webinar that will be recorded. It's coming up next Thursday. In fact, you and I moved Theme Thursday up to Wednesday so we could accommodate that time slot for them. Available to you if you want to dig into the report. We won't spend a lot of time doing it here, but Mike, it'd be tough to get past it for our live audience and the folks that listen to the podcast in real time. We are really, really excited about that report.
It's gonna, I think it definitely will unlock a lot of discovery for people. In my opinion, I think it also unlocks the need for coaches, right? When you give anybody that much information about themselves, it's usually better to have a safari guide with you to wade through that kind of detail. But it's a fantastic learning opportunity.
It's 25 pages of goodness, so be careful. Think before you hit print on that one, and make sure you get all the way through. And we spend some time on domains there. Okay, we came for restorative today. Restorative folks, high in it. Where are they at their best?
It's really about bringing solutions to daily challenges, being able to approach a difficult situation, not just naming it as a problem, but being able to say, I'm going to go into this problem and I'm going to find a solution. I like this word, the idea of being the reviver. Folks who are high in restorative are energized by bringing to life what other people may have declared as being dead and moved on from. Let's do a quick contrast here between perhaps restorative and strategic. Strategic is anticipating, asking what if, really being able to go through lots of options and contingency plans. People technically probably high with strategic would just go around the pothole and find a different road. Where if you've got high restorative, you're going to say, let's stop and fill this pothole so that we can drive faster on the existing road. So it's a little bit about that, sorting through potential possibilities on strategic and addressing the realities of what can be restored for what's already there right in front of them on the restorative side. I think the value of restorative is also being able to make any necessary adjustments with existing resources. Again, that sort of boots on the ground, practical side of restorative. It's let's use logic. Let's use what's in front of us. Let's not try to create something or amplify it to be something that it's not. Let's address what needs to be addressed and solve what's right here in front of us.
Besides trying to fix me, which a lot of restorative people try to do, and that's a very smart thing to do, by the way. There's lots of areas for improvement for me. And it's not like I'm not hard on myself as it is because I'm a maximizer. Let's just be really, really clear on that one. But what else can we do more of? What should restorative raise its hand for, volunteer for? Those kinds of things.
Look for turnaround situations. What is it that can be saved, that can be fixed, that can be restored? Challenges are going to be interesting to you. Show up for those challenges. I think it's also about honing the radar that you have for the right kind of problem for you. It's likely not going to be something that is already working, and that desire to make it better. Jim, you mentioned maximizer, and that's really a huge contrast there. Maximizer wants to focus on things that other people would dismiss because they're fine, because they're working. Restorative wants to focus on things that other people might dismiss because they're too broken. That is about where the similarities end between maximizer and restorative. Now, of course, you could have them both, but typically for folks with restorative, you're not going to be looking for what can I amplify? What can I accentuate? What can I add to that's already functional? You're probably going to be more drawn to, where is there a big challenge? Where's something that people have given up on, or something that really needs my help or that needs a solution? So when you talk about honing your problem radar, think about how you can quickly identify your best broken space that you can bring a solution to or that you can restore. Educate yourself about particular problems that keep occurring. So pay attention to, what is it that you are addressing over and over, or what is it that people you love and work with are addressing more than once? How can you learn more about that topic? Maybe it's about specific details around something. Maybe it's about technology. Maybe it's about an industry. I think you can be even more agile when you're providing solutions and providing fixes is, or even being the fix, the better that you can be educated around what the problem is.
What kind of environments best support those with high restorative?
I think one thing you might want to ask for are champions who can help you with particularly thorny problems. So you might pride yourself in your ability to cope, and you might be a little bit hesitant if you've got high restorative to ask for help. But you also might be better when you've got others that you can rely upon who can lend their expertise. That doesn't mean that you have to have other problem solvers, right? That doesn't mean that you need somebody to come with an already diagnosed solution. You just are going to be great if you know that you've got people you can call upon who can help lend their understanding, maybe their previous experience, perhaps their interest or their own talent and strength to a situation, and really kind of become those tools that you use to architect a great solution. And that's,
go ahead. Sorry. No, go ahead.
So the other thing I was going to say is ask for access to problems early. That's not just because you want to, address something small before it grows. I think it's because it also starts building this habit in other people of coming to you, of including you. I was listening to season 3 this morning where we talk about the relationship between restorative and leadership. And part of what you can do as a great leader with restorative is exactly what you can do as an individual contributor with restorative, which is start to train folks to be comfortable bringing you problems, right? I have restorative in my bottom 5, and I tend to apologize for problems when I ask people for help. If I'm doing that to somebody with restorative, if I'm bringing up a problem or bringing up something that I could use their solution engine for, I'm giving them a great opportunity to do what they do best. So I think acknowledge problems, look for them early, be able to share them in kind of that collaborative space, and that will position you to do what you do best even more often.
Maika, sorry to interrupt you there, but when you said thorny problems, I got super excited because I think a superpower of someone high in restorative, and going back to season 3, that must have been what reminded me of it. When we think about in leadership, I think restorative has this great ability, because really leadership is really a people problem, right? It's about managing people to their highest potential. And oftentimes, I've said this before, but I think where 2 or more are gathered, there is conflict. And so it's just a natural part. And really restorative has this ability in teams, I think in groups. So you and I have been spending, the last 2 seasons talking about teams and groups and getting high performance out of them. It is one of those secrets that if you can fix relationships in teams, you can accelerate productivity so much faster. I won't have any numbers to support this, but I think oftentimes what slows down teams' performance is relationships. And if you can get those parts right, and when you said thorny problems, man, the thorniest ones are between people. Yeah. And it's just the ability to go in there and be able maybe to see those and figure out how to resolve them. Now, there's some individualization in there. There's some maximizer in there. There's other things, right, to help you in those. There's some context. There's some input that you might need. But in this, like you gravitate towards this. Don't not use that in leadership roles. I think it's really important.
Yeah, and I think when you've got high restorative, just because it's an executing theme doesn't mean that you can't execute collaboration as a project, right? So you may need to pull in the help of people who maybe speak the people side of things a little bit more quickly or with more comfort. But that idea of addressing people problems as what you can offer a solution toward, I mean, we know, and you can steal this line if you're a coach. It helps talk about that ROI for strengths. The biggest predictor of engagement is not whether you like what you're doing, it's whether you like who you're doing it with. So think about that as perhaps a turnaround space that you can look for if you've got high restorative, is how can you kind of grease the wheels on better relationships among people around you.
Yeah, and I think it's a little counterintuitive to some, but better relationships actually increase quality. And so if you're, it's oftentimes we try to just, every good deed goes, no good deed goes unpunished, right? In situations where we just try to beat productivity out of people, like, no, we just need better processes. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not always the case. Like, to your point, sometimes we need better relationships. Mm-hmm. The processes are fine. Sure, you can always improve those. I'm a maximizer. I have to say that. But oftentimes, if we were maximizing the relationships, or if we're fixing the relationships that are finding ways to solve problems in relationships, the velocity increases, I think, exponentially. So one of those reminders, maybe going back to season 3 a little bit when we talked a lot about leadership, but I think this is important. Maika, for those of us high in restorative, what can we worry less about?
Well, unless you get it from other themes, worry less about flying high on imagination alone. Your access to creativity, if you've got high restorative, is going to be by tinkering with reality, by being here kind of on the ground. You might feel impatient when people are talking about all the possibilities of where we could go and what we could create for 2 reasons. One, you could see the potential problems in what they're brainstorming. And 2, it might seem out of touch with all that needs to be fixed or solved that already exists. It's okay not to be the most imaginative person in the room, but it is also important to give others the space to dream if they need to, and to find ways to ask questions that ground your partnership in existing expectations. So that's a really long-winded way of saying you're practical, and practical is great.
Let's flip it when we think about working with restorative now. So the rest of us, the other half listening, need to pay attention now. You should have been paying attention the whole time. But when we're working with restorative, Maika, what should we expect?
I think expect speed, energy, and accuracy, even joy, when this person is asked to solve something. This real attraction toward a challenge, attraction toward a problem. There's a song I really like that has some lyrics that say beauty in the breakdown. These people are not going to be intimidated by mess. They likely will be patient and thoughtful even when things are not working. That when, that might intimidate folks. Breakdowns can be intimidating. Brokenness can be intimidating, not to somebody with high restorative. You can also expect maybe that there's a bit of a reluctance to give up on something. They are attracted to situations, relationships, and products that other people might want to move on from. And that there is that constant awareness of what needs to be fixed. Don't dismiss this as them complaining. Really hear them out. Listen for the solution that they're offering.
How do we recognize them? Today is R&R at Gallup, which means we do a recognition roundtable once a month, and we publicly recognize individuals for the achievements they've made during the month. Some people say every single month you do that as a company. We absolutely do, right? Really, really important. Maika, how do we recognize those with high-end restorative?
Well, I think it might not be as obvious what to celebrate as some other themes, perhaps, because folks with high restorative tend to deal with finding existing solutions instead of sort of gathering new things or creating or winning big sort of pieces. They're the people in many cases behind the scenes who are keeping everything moving. So honor their area of expertise. Look for topics that they talk about often. Look for something they tend to know a lot about, or something that others go to them for. That might be ways to uncover where some of those hot buttons are. It's a great clue to what they're likely offering solutions to all the time. Also, pay attention to things that are easy for you and easy for your team. How is this person, the man behind the curtain, making things easy? Or the woman behind the curtain? It was a Wizard of Oz reference. Don't write me angry letters. But look for what's currently easy and how this person might be connected to that ease that he or she is creating for others. Also, I think affirm that they are drawn to other things that intimidate people. So they're drawn to things that others might avoid. Give them the space to share what it is they see. Give them the space to highlight possible solutions that they're tuned into, and realize that there's a real gift in them being able to notice things that other people will miss.
I have a team that I'm working with, a new team, and one of the members has restorative. If it's not one, it's two. And oftentimes I ask the question when I find that out, tell me about some comments you've been getting from team members in the past. Like, how have you functioned on teams? And sometimes, Mike, in its immature state, it ends up being that the person ends up getting labeled as the naysayer or the problem. You only talk about problems, right? You only bring up issues, which on software teams is actually super important. Like, we need people like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think sometimes this rubs people the wrong way, especially in young children. And as we're thinking about, even some adults can kind of grow, can kind of be stretched in this. How else can we stretch? How can we learn? How can we help others learn with high restorative?
I think you can stretch them by helping them specialize their skill and knowledge portion of their success to the problems that are most important for them to solve. So this could be paying attention to what's repeating, what's coming up over and over again. It might be paying attention to your organization or your team's biggest goals, most important priorities. It might be just paying attention to that person and what especially piques their interest, but making sure that you are feeding that natural talent for fixing and for solving with some specialty areas, some specialty skills, some specialty knowledge that helps them be able to say, I'm not just going to be great at fixing everything, but I am especially your go-to person when it involves XYZ. Also, you can do them a great service by elevating their position as a problem solver, and also elevating perhaps them as, and I would use capital letters for this, a solution delegator, right? Help other people understand that they're just not the desk that you go to when your computer's broken. They could be the entire hub for helping you find everything that could ever be fixed, and that you can participate in the solution that they come up with.
Paul in the chat room says this: with restorative number 1 and significance number 3, I bring up big, complex, and complicated problems. And I'm pretty sure he's saying this sarcastically. People love me, right? In the sense that I know sometimes, right, as when we're seen as that, the people always exposing the problems. Two things. One, in leadership and management, we need to recognize those people who do that, because sometimes they can't not do that. It's just part of who they are. And then two, I think if you have this tendency, and I'm not saying in this particular situation, this is you. I'm not diagnosing you, but I think sometimes we know that about ourselves, and we got to dial it back or be a little bit more aware of what's around us, that we can't just shotgun problems out the second they come up, right? Nothing kills a team or a team spirit like the person who, you've got all this momentum going, and then someone says, oh, let me tell you the 15 problems that are going to happen, or the things that are wrong with that. I think there needs to be some self-awareness. And so partnership is key, both from managing and from being on a team. When we think about partnering, how can we support this, Maika? How can we do that?
Any theme can create a problem for you or others, right? And it's not the theme to blame. It's your awareness and your regulation around it and how it expresses itself. So a lot of times, I think what we're talking about, actually, we're going to get to in one of our challenges. It's not to hide your awareness. It's how is it being presented, right? How can this come up as something that's collaborative? So when we're partnering with people with high restorative, the more clear that everybody in that partnership, whether that's 2 or more people, the more clear that everybody can be about what the target is, the better off we all are around why it is we're discussing what we're discussing. So when should we revive something that will help us get there? And when should we maybe move on from something? That's something you can discuss if you're discussing where it is we hope to go. And that I think keeps your conversation about the project and not about the people involved, right? Explicitly share measurable goals and hold each other accountable for where it is that we're aiming for. Also, I think if you're partnering now with somebody with high restorative, be careful to offer your diagnosis without sharing your symptoms. So be careful not to just say, there's a difference in saying, hey doc, I have strep throat. Can you get me some drugs? Versus saying, hey doc, I think I might have strep throat. Here's these symptoms I've been experiencing. So what we would recommend is the second version of that. Offer what it is you know about a current challenge. Offer sort of your full toolkit of why something is broken, and let that person with restorative do a little forensic analysis of their own. So don't try and come up with too much of a solution before they've had an opportunity to tinker with the symptoms and the bits.
Maika, back to my situation with this team that I'm running. And so when we started to discover this in a strengths discovery session, we were literally doing a team discovery. And this kind of came out. He said, yeah, in the past, I have been known as the problem child, in the sense that I always shoot things down, right? And so we talked to the team and it started saying, okay, now that we know that, how can we take advantage of that? How can we take advantage of that kind of momentum? And so with the team and the team's permission, we began to think, okay, he's probably the best at QA on this, of just understanding the quality of what we're producing here. He will see these things long before others do. He will bring them up. But I said to him, you have to understand what that does to people. And you do. I mean, they know. You don't have to remind them. They've done this their whole life, right? People get mad at them, or people shun them, or people stop listening to them because they don't want to hear problems, right? Because I think there's a style, just like you mentioned, there's a style that's needed to present this in a way that people are receptive to it. Just because it's true doesn't mean you can shout it in someone's face, right? And so you need to be savvy about the way you approach these things. So we got team agreement. Like, okay, here's the deal. He's going to do these things, and you're going to rely on them. And if it gets out of hand on either side, we have permission to talk about it. It's not personal, just the way it is, right? And so that team is actually doing very, very well right now. I'm super proud of them. They're doing a lot of great things. That relationship seems to be really, really well. I think that's the power, Maika, of Clifton Strengths, right? That is to get, when we talk about the acceleration of productivity in a team setting around awareness of these team themes, this is where we get acceleration. God, nothing makes me more excited than watching this team rocket because they start understanding each other. Super cool.
So I was teaching day 4 and 5 of our accelerated course this week. You're saying, how did you do that? It's already Thursday. The world may never know. Anyway, one of the verbs that somebody created was Legoing, which was this idea of how do you offer your best in a place that might be somebody's worst, so that you click together, you fill each other's gaps with your strengths. You're Legoing. And I think about that as, this is part of the guiding principles of working with strengths, is that, we're different, we need each other. And what you describe here in this idea of don't tell this person to tune it down, but tell this person when to use it, and tell the rest of the team what to anticipate. And so it's not just about expecting everybody to solve their own problems. It's about relying on one person who does it really well to be the problem sniffer outer, right? To be the person who is asked to do what they already can't help but do. Yeah. And that, no matter what the right talent is a phenomenal place to be. How can you ask somebody to be who they already are, to be even more of who they already are, to do something on purpose that they're already doing anyway?
Super awesome. Theme challenges. We are to that point. Just a reminder, if you follow Maika on Instagram @StrengthsTalk, if you're on our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/called2coach, TO. Called to Coach is a way to get these theme, but we also provide them in the chat as well. They're out there, and they're in the blog post that we do for this. If you're listening to the recorded version of this, they're available there. Maika, let's dig in. You got a couple. If this is a dominant theme challenge, what are they?
This is a great segue. The first one is all about how you present it. So if restorative is a dominant theme of yours, meaning it always describes who you are, your challenge is to sharpen that problem finding radar and enhance your problem solving speed. So number 1, develop an opening solution statement that shares your calmness with others. So you might try a couple of these out on see if they work for you. Something like, this is going to be okay. We can handle it. I'd like to share how this can be better. I want you to think about just come up with your own best opening solution statement. There's a lot of calmness in restorative that we miss if you dive right into how it needs to be solved. So just come up with a great opening statement. Number 2, polish your problem-solving toolkit. What are the best resources that you tend to call upon often when you're solving problems? I want you to name 3 to 5 resources. I say that in quotes, and make sure that they're available to you. That could be people, it could be software, it could be time and space. Name 3 to 5 of your best problem-solving resources and make sure that they are readily available. Number 3, hone your problem-solving topics. So read a book, take a course, or listen to a podcast about a specific area that you find is coming up over and over again in the solutions that you end up being asked to provide.
But mostly listen to a podcast. I'm
just
going to say, mostly just listen to a podcast. We got some lesser themed challenges, Maika, for the rest of us. You locked up for me. Are you still there?
Podcasts that I went down super great rabbit holes. Like I am now a wizard in several topics I never thought I would know anything about, but you should probably just listen to a podcast.
Just listen. It solves all problems. Okay. Speaking of that, if we have a lesser theme challenge, what if we don't have it?
So if it's a lesser theme for you, that means it's probably in the bottom 5 or 10 of your themes on your Clifton Strengths 34. And no hard and fast rule of where those lesser themes begin or end. They're just those themes that rarely or never describe you. If you have restorative as a lesser theme, it might mean that you're better at progressing beyond problems than you are addressing them. And this is okay if you're by yourself, but it could be an issue if others who you depend on, if they depend on you addressing things, then that could become a problem. We're not saying that it will, but you've got two challenges if this is a lesser theme. Number one, get in touch with your constituency. So consider the people who count on you and name a problem you've heard them share more than 3 times recently. So it really is just about tuning into problems that people who count on you are having. And that's just admitting that sometimes if you don't have high restorative, you don't speak the language of problems. It's not a currency that you exchange in. So just make sure that you're aware of it. Number 2, get a partner. I want you to think about where in your life you are repeatedly less effective than you'd like to be. And how can you either delegate that away to someone else or find a partner who could help you be better?
Super cool. Maika, it's always good to go through these. And any other final thoughts as we think about restorative?
It's just such a cool theme. And I love that I can say that even though it's in my bottom 5. And I know that no matter what's in your bottom 5, I'm sure you carry some sort of a relationship with them. It might be that you're perplexed by them because you can't believe that they exist. It might be that you hate them because you've had some negative experience with them. It might be that you just have zero relationship with it, right? That it's just so far out of how you could possibly ever think about managing your thoughts or feelings or behavior. But in this movement and what we're hoping to help you do, if you're going to be a coach, you really do need to spend some time falling in love with all of these. And I've had a couple conversations recently with my coach who helps me see that, real transformation doesn't come just from having an action plan. It comes from encountering people who love you enough to let you be yourself and to support you in that. So go out and do that for somebody with high restorative.
Super cool. We'll remind everyone to take full advantages of all the resources we have available at the Gallup Strength Center. We mentioned this a little bit earlier. We have a brand new report for you, all 34. You have to have unlocked all 34 to get it. So if you haven't done that, there's no better time to do it than right now. In our Facebook group, I've posted a 25% discount code, Maika. They can go out and get it for $30. So you can upgrade from top 5 to all 34 right now. That ends November 14th, so of 2018. So you might want to jump on that here pretty quick, available for you. That is in our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/called-to-coach. We'll get you there. If you have any questions or comments, if you want to be a guest blogger, we're a little behind on that. Although, Maika, I have a plan. I've been saying this for weeks. But we now have a plan to catch up on the guest blogging stuff. So we're pretty excited about that as well. So send us your submission. You can send it to coaching@gallup.com, put guest blogger in the subject line, and we'll get that reviewed. We'll probably be looking for submissions anytime. You can catch the recorded audio and video of this program as well as all the past ones. They're available for you in podcast form, video form, whatever you want. You can't miss these things. Are available. Coaching.gallup.com is the way to do it. If you're interested in becoming a Gallup certified strengths coach or any training that leads to any learning here at Gallup, we have a ton of courses. If you're listening to this in 2019, we have a whole bunch of new ones that have probably come out by now that I can't even talk about yet because it's not 2019. Courses.gallup.com. If you're in the future, which is kind of cool, Maika. We're talking to the future right now, available for you. Head out there. And if you want to stay up to date on all the webcasts we're doing, head out to gallup.eventbrite.com. Click the follow button. That way you get an email every time we add something new. And you don't have to keep going back out there to check. Right? That didn't happen until about 6 months ago. Take advantage of it and make sure that you are keeping up to date on everything that we're doing. I mentioned staying in the Facebook group, really, really important. Tons of announcements coming out through the Facebook group right now. And if you want to be in the know, best to probably be in the group, facebook.com/group/call-to-coach. Many of you are like, I don't do Facebook. Let me just say, do Facebook just for this. Like, you don't have to do anything else. Just join our group. You can just be there. It's the best place to be, right? I want to thank you for coming out. Stay around. If you're listening live, we want you to stay around for the post show because the post show is pretty fun. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.